Good evening and welcome to the Rewind Show. Yeah, Friday evening, 119. Brent Peters is puffing and blowing a gasket. We're a bit late, but who cares? It's Friday. Well, I think it's Friday anyway. I lose track of time during Christmas. How are you doing, Brent?
Well, you just took the words out of my mouth. I haven't got a clue what day it is. We're all over the place. I can't even remember what day we played blinking Darwen.
It was Monday, I think.
The week's all mixed up. Everything I normally do, my routines and everything, they're all upside down all over the place. But we'll get there in the end. Like we've got here on the show in the end. We might be a bit late, but
yeah.
The reason why we're a bit late as well, because we're having a confab with my first team coach Nigel on the phone after seeing the VAR footage of the goals we conceded, especially the first goal. What a blinking absolute horrendous blinking multiple errors on several players' parts, but it is what it is.
We'll get to that because, of course, we were in action on Boxing Day. Action tomorrow, so we'll catch up and check in on our game. Hopefully, fingers crossed, with Nelson, and then a few other things that we'll talk about. But yeah, apart from the game on Monday, how else has your week been? Business as usual.
Well, it's just been it's been a bit quite hectic because you're Christmas. Like we say, Christmas, any holidays, it's a disruption ended into what you do. I mean, don't forget, I haven't just got the football club to run. I've got, I've got a business, and they've been working. Lads have been in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of this week. Things still go on, don't they? People think, it's wind down now. A lot of people aren't in, but aren't in work until the new year. But unfortunately, we are in, and we have been in. So there's work to do there. There's work to do here. You wouldn't think so, but it's just been a battleground here. The weather's been horrendous. I mean, I'll tell you a story, a little story. I saw one of my vans is parked up where one of my drivers parked his van up. Not far from his house. And what's happened is, it's all over all the news bulletins. There's like blinking 45-mile-an-hour winds and, tornadoes going off in blinking Tameside and thundering and lightning and howling down with blinking rain and hail and blinking trying to snow and everything else. And all of a sudden, I'm in last night, I get in and then I get disturbed and my driver's partner, Mrs., is on Facebook, and you know what I think about Facebook? It's like it's for perverts and nosy devils, and in this instance, it's about nosy devils. So there's apparently there's a load of debate going on. Who's this van? This van, there's blinking alarms going off on this van. It's a nuisance, blinking alarms going off, and this, that, and the other. And they're all having pelters of wanting to know who this van is. Well, this van, obviously, I haven't left it there, but my driver's left it where he leaves it. Yeah. And the alarm's going off on it. But what they don't understand, the alarm's going off because it's 45-mile-an-hour winds. And obviously, it's rocking the van.
Yeah.
So alarms are going off. And all they can talk about, twitchy curtain time, looking through curtains, alarms going off on the van. I'm sorry, but we can't handle the weather. So I had to go out in disguise, because I don't live far from him, blinking snugged up, coat on, snugged up, hood over, so nobody could recognise me. Spare key, I was like a robber.
They probably thought you were keying it.
I'm watching it, making sure there were no wind, nobody twitchy curtains and nobody looking. I've never seen me jump in a van as quick and shift it.
Where did you shift it to? Did you take it home?
No, the heck is taken home. I took it down onto main road near where XL Signs is and left it down there. But I put it in a shelter so that it weren't going to kind of it had helped it a little bit. But where do these people come from? Are they blinking stupid or what? You know what I'm saying? I just don't get it. I don't understand it. if a vehicle allowed, you know what I say? I walked in my house. I don't know. I think it was after our game. Boxing Day. It could have been Boxing Day. I got to say, there's a load of banging going on somewhere. I don't know where this banging is. And I went, well, banging. I said, it's a group practicing in one of the units. They're practicing with drums and guitars. I said, that's what all the banging is. I said, maybe if you put your TV on and have your TV on with the volume on, you might not hear it because it drowns the sound. So put your TV on. You know, why are people like, so, you know, put a gun to your head and boom. You know, if you're gonna sit in your front room with no sound on, right, you'll hear a blinking pin drop. But if you've got your TV on, especially where I live, if you've got your TV on, you won't hear anything.
No.
You know, Deborah says to me many a time, she said to me, did you hear that thundering and lightning last night? I said, well, I didn't hear a thing.
I'm exactly the same. If you got, like you say, if you got TV on loud, you don't hear anything.
No, exactly. You know, they're demented, some of these people. And then obviously they're up and down on Facebook, talking on Facebook. This van alarm's going off. It's a blinking nuisance. Well, hang on, I'm sorry that the weather's like it is. You know, it's just unfortunate. We can't help the wind. And, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's another story.
Talking of the weather, I know we're not playing at home tomorrow, but how's our pitch looking? I bet it's a Lake Bake-Up, innit? Be a boating lake.
Listen, it's not just the pitch at Bake-Up at the minute. Let me tell you, if you were to drive up Cowtoot Lane, it's reminiscent of the blinking, probably what you see on Gaza Strip on every news bulletin.
Thanks for that.
Well,
yeah, I get the picture.
It's a bleeding fact. You know, we're at the third highest ground in the country. We're at the top of the bleeding hill. We've got half a clubhouse, right? Other half, you know, we've got, you know, obviously there's building work going on. All the fencing that's covered round the site. You know, I wish I had like linking £50 for every time that I picked it up because all my Christmas presents and everything else that I bought would have been paid for by now. You know what I mean? It's just been horrendous.
It's bad at the moment.
Oh, it is. It's horrendous. It's horrendous. You know, the answer to your question is, if we were at home, would we be playing? I'd say you've not got a cat in hell's chance of playing. You know, the amount of water that's come, it's been horrible. The amount of rain that's come down over the last couple of weeks, you know, and the wind, and there's more to come in there. This forecast is more to come.
Yeah.
I'm not doom and gloom. I'm just telling you facts. Literally the facts.
Let's move on to football, because that's why a lot of people are tuned in. They're on Facebook Live and on Twitter this evening, which is it's a great time, is this 6 o'clock slot, or 20 past 6 as it is tonight. But a lot of people coming in from work watching it. Of course, we're disappointed. You know, we spoke earlier about the game. You know, a lot of positive to take from the match, but just disappointed we weren't able to get something from the game on Boxing Day against Darwen, Brent.
Listen, I said I can't. In terms of the lads and the commitment and everything else, I can't fault the lads. Lads, you know, it's like I said at full time. You know, nobody likes to lose games of football, no more than me. And I know that it hurts the lads as well. Sometimes you've got to look at the way and the manner that you lose a game of football, but listen, in every game, and I think we had this conversation earlier on in the week, in any game of football, you're not going to win, and I keep saying it. You know, as much as you can set your stalls out, you can, you know, it's like even if you look in the Premier League and they set the stall out and teams are realising they're not going to win the league, but they're fighting to get into a Champions League spot. You know, equally, you know, there's teams in our league that are not going to win the league, but they're fighting to get into a playoff spot. You know, and while that's happening, you know, in any level of football, you know, there's swings and roundabouts, there's ups and downs. You know, a few weeks ago, or probably, you know, a couple of months ago, look how well Newcastle were doing. They were flying. You know, and all of a sudden, you know, they've had injuries and setbacks, and you know, you get on some media platforms, Eddie Howe's job's under threat, which I think is a load of bleaking absolute toss. This is that's just propaganda, and people like coming out with it. These football supporters that do come out with it, they just talk rot. But you've got to understand that these things happen. You can't go into a game of football wherever you play and you have a divine right to win. You're playing against, don't forget, on Monday, rather, we're at Monday, yeah, Boxing Day anyway. On Boxing Day, it's a local derby. And I said it on last week's show that playing Darwen is never easy. It's going to be a physical battle. It's in a nice stadium with a shit surface. And I'm sorry, but it is, because it's a 3G. It's as simple as that. And and to play on a 3G in competitive football, I say it every week. It's nothing. It's not personal against Darwen, and it's not personal against Ilkley or Steeton. It's just the way I see competitive football. It's made for grass. That's what football's made for, not blinking plastic, right? These all sorts. But listen, I'm not talking about that being an excuse, because there's no excuse, right? Let's get one thing straight: none whatsoever, right? We've gone into that game. We were prepared well. The lads were in high spirits when we got to the ground, and they've executed. They've gone about the game, and for me, they've done well. I don't think there was anything in the game. If you want my honest opinion, I think in reality that we didn't deserve to win it. Neither did Darwen, in my eyes. Neither team deserved to win that game. I think it was a stonewall draw all day long. And if we look and break the game down, and you think about the last few minutes of that game, and this isn't knocking Kyle, it's just the way the ball, he couldn't get it out to his...
The ball came to him, yeah.
The way the ball came to him, he couldn't get it out of his feet. But if he pulls that ball back where it should have gone, right, there were two players on virtually there to tap it in. So we'd have finished the game 2-2. And a lot of what we're going to talk about in this show wouldn't be said, because I've said it before on this show many a time. When you win games of football, right, people's persona changes, because a lot of what's gone wrong in the game doesn't get brought to the table.
Yeah, you erase it, don't you? You put it out of the way.
Yeah, you put it out of the way, so people don't look at it, because they think, well, you've got a good win there, it was fantastic, on to the next one. If you lose a game of football, people start looking at things that's gone on in the game and think that things should have been better and done better, and they start criticising and coming out with, it doesn't just happen at our level, it's happening at all levels.
Yeah.
People, a few weeks ago, let's be honest, I don't go watching them, but the young Burnley keeper, what I'm reading, has been getting pelters thrown at him. But yet, when I watch Match It Day and read reports on his last game, for me, he saved Burnley, and Burnley come away, I think it was an away win somewhere, and for me, he was the man of the match. So, these are things that happen. So just because of somebody has a bad game or an indifferent game doesn't mean that they shouldn't be in the team and they should be sold. And the lad's in development, and I think Vincent Kompany knows better than I do about the player, and he knows better than you do, and he knows better than the supporters do, because that's his job and he's with him all the time. So equally, if we go back to the game on Boxing Day with Darwen, and you break it down, I think even in the first half, it were 0-0. I've wrote down the chances as they've happened. Chances, when I say chances, when we've got in good areas and we've had chance to execute goal. I broke it down, and even the Darwen chances, and I've come out that Baycup were 3-1 on top in chances in the first half, with a 0-0 at scoreline at half time. We had, if I had to look at it, the first one, Lewis Burns strikes the post. Unlucky. Another time that goes in. You then look at Alex pulled one back for Lewis Burns. His shot were goal bound and got deflected for a corner. You've got to give Darwen praise for that, because they've thrown their body on the line there, and obviously it's diverted for a corner. And then you've had another one where Lewis Burns shot, but he scuffed his shot. Normally, Lewis Burns would hit a shot nice and clean, like Darwen did to get their second goal. So you look at the chances that the goal scoring positions that we've been in, and then you look at the goal scoring positions Darwen have been in. In the first half, for me, there were the one where they brought a really good save from Mason. So in terms of chances, I feel that in the first half we had the better opportunities, and you could come in at half time and you could say, really, we should do better in them situations. Another game we will do. Another game will be clinical. Unfortunately, on Boxing Day we weren't clinical. But again, you've got to give Darwen, you've got to give Darwen credit, because it was a nip and tuck game. They got the breaks in the game. They went 2-0 up. We got back in the game. We got it back to 2-1 with a fantastic strike from Connor. And again, we talked about subs coming on and influencing the game. Connor, for me, came on and he's influenced the game. So we've had chances after that to get an equaliser, and we could have got an equaliser. They were desperate for the final whistle to go, and you've got to analyse the game over a full 90 minutes. You can't just analyse it off one isolated situation, or two situations. You've got to look at the whole picture on 90 minutes. Now, in my opinion, and I'm studying the technical area, and I'm doing nothing else. I'm not drinking. I'm not turning to the guy at the side of me to have a conversation. I'm not on commentary where I'm talking on a microphone and following play. I'm looking at the picture and I'm just following the game as it's unfolding in front of me. So, in my opinion, from watching that game, I honestly believe that Baycup Borough were worthy of a point from that game. And I don't think that we deserve to win it, but I also don't think that Darwen deserved to win it. I think they were worthy of a point. I think it was an excellent, competitive, equal game where a draw would have been a fair result.
Yeah, I think we both had periods of the match where we were on top. We spoke about the fact that we had to weather the storm in the first 20 minutes because they really brought it on us, didn't they, in the first 20, and we did really well to soak it up.
Yeah, they started really well, to be fair to them. We had a succession of corners. We were desperate, myself and Nigel, because the way we, making sure that the midfield players were tight on their men. I mean, I know what
Nathan Bond.
What Nathan Bond's about, because Nathan Bond played a couple of seasons for me here at Baycup, and we just needed Kyle to get a bit more amongst him, because we're giving him a bit too much room in the early parts of the game. But once we got that message across to Callum. Once we got that message across to Callum, it were a good contest between them two. Because Nathan Bond's a very, very good player, a good midfield player. He's competitive, and he's cute in what he does. And I've said it before, and I'm saying again on this show, Callum Hewitt's a very, very good midfield player. And to be honest, once Callum got amongst him and got himself sorted out, he kind of cancelled him out.
He nullified him there, yeah.
He nullified him, and he did a good job on him. But yeah, in that early period, we weathered the storm. They started bright, and they were on it. And you know what you're going to get at Darwen. Like I said, if you look at our players compared to their players, and this is nothing I'm on about in stature. If you were to stop an action and you stop the players around the pitch, you think, hang on, that team's got a team full of men, and this team's got a team full of boys.
Yes.
You
look at players like Chris Lynch, and you look at Lloyd and others. They're built, aren't they? They're big, stocky lads.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought we were competing well against them. Whereas, if you break that down in physicality, they're obviously going to be kind of ahead of us on physicality because of just the nature of the beast of what they're about. But in terms of technical ability, we beat them hands down on technical ability because that's what we're about. But to be fair to them, I don't think that as a team and collectively, as we know we can do, I don't think we were as fluent as we can be. And I think if we had been, you know, they wouldn't have even got near us to be in a battle with us, right? But I come back to the pitch on that because it's every time we play on it. I said to you in the last show that we had, it should suit us, should a 3G, but it never does. No, it doesn't. I mean, I've just seen a clip on there on one of the clips that Joy's going to defend, you know, and the ball's it's hit the ground and it's bounced right up and kind of bounced up into his face like this, you know, and he struggled to deal with it. Now, on a grass pitch, you wouldn't get that situation. Now, listen, these aren't excuses, the facts. The facts of the matter. You know, not making excuses. It's a fact.
Let's talk about the 2 goals we conceded then. You know, break it down for us as the manager, looking up from, you know, from the sidelines. Talk us through that first goal.
Well, the first goal for me, when I've looked at the video again, and I've just before I've come on here, that's why I was kind of late, and then I've rang Nigel up and discussed it with Nigel, and the scenarios in what's happened, and it's kind of had a knock-on effect in and it shouldn't have had a knock-on effect, and this is where. Again, without being critical, and I'm not being. Listen, we have got a good set of lads, and we've got a very, very good team. But I keep saying it. There's some players that are still learning and playing the trade, and this is where Nigel comes in, where he's got to make sure they fully understand when situations like happened in this game that they're kind of doing and executing the right things. And the biggest attribute I'm trying to say here is. He's probably talking because, you know, and we've said it before and no doubt we'll have to say it again. Some players will go and take responsibility or implement somebody else's responsibility themselves, and they'll leave their post to go and do somebody else's responsibility when really they shouldn't leave the post, but they should open their mouth to make people aware that there's spare men and there's danger somewhere else.
Because automatically it becomes detrimental to the setup of the team, and it also creates a domino effect.
Yeah, exactly. So what I've seen there on that VAR, I mean, I could take it back a bit further than the actual goal, but there was a situation where we've got the ball, right. We're coming out with the ball. Alex Mellor has got the ball and he's running out with the ball, but he overran the ball, right? And when he overran the ball, it made it favourite for the opposition. What happened from that? They worked it, and it ended up where they got a throw underneath the stand, right? They ended up with a throw, and from this throw, from us having this attack and breaking out, from this throw, it's ended up where their centre forward, number 9, has dropped right in between the lines. Now, at this point, they've changed the shape. They started in a 4-4-2 kind of diamond shape, yeah? But they've made the substitution, and I know you put it on social media and said, you know, credit to the subs, they changed the game. The subs were done at the right time and they changed the game.
Yeah,
I kind of don't agree with that to a point, but that they changed the game. But I have to say, what happened actually did contribute to the first goal, because at this point they've gone 4-3-3. Now, if you think about it, when the dark lad, the winger, comes on, he's kind of, really speaking, if we started the game, he'd be up against our right back. You follow me? And the other winger, the 11, who was, when they're in the 2, we played in a 2, they'd be down the middle. But then the 11, when really we're against our left back, and then they'd play with the centre forward down the middle. You follow me? So that would be the scenario that they were in on a 4-3-3. And this epitomises what happened with the goal. Because what then happens is, we've got a situation where number 9 has dropped right in. So now, at this point, the centre forward has dropped in. He has got on the ball. He gets on the ball and he drives towards our defence, and chasing him, and on his shoulder is Ben Thompson. But number 9 is not Ben Thompson's responsibility. 7 were Ben Thompson's responsibility, but it doesn't matter. The danger with 9 running back. So obviously Ben is running to try and help out on 9, who's dropped into between the lines. At this point, because there's no options and the 9's running into a wall, he's turned round and he's played a ball back to 7, which is then Ben Thompson's man. So Ben Thompson has gone to close him, obviously nowhere near him, because he's obviously gone back to help the 9, to help out the defence against the 9. But as it's gone back to him, at this point, the 7, right, as Ben's then going to close him, the 7 plays number 10 in, which is Gervin's man, right? And if you watch on the video, the 10 plays a straight ball between the lines. Yeah. At this point, Malachi has gone to ground and missed it, right? So they've latched on it. I think it was the dark lad who would have been against Ben Langley. He's got on it, and Brad has sensed some danger, and Brad, if you look at the video, has left the far post area where 11 is. Yeah. As you put it the other day, got a tap in on Mark, because Brad's left that area to go and try and eliminate the danger more central. But obviously, by Brad doing that, they've got an option then to play that ball into him, and he's put it in the net. Well, let's
just show what you're talking about, Brent. Just because I got the clip. I'm hoping I've got the right clip. These clips have been given to us by media team, Matty at Darwen. So thank him for that. And I think this is the goal. I hope it is. I think that was the second one, Brent? That one, wasn't it?
It weren't the first one. This is what I'm saying. You, if you don't show it right, it won't make any sense. So you've got to show it right. We've played it about 4 times. Yeah. So you've got to break it down. We've seen it and we've shown it 4 times.
But that's not the clip. You're kind of pulling it back at least another 15 or 20 seconds from
before it. Because because you've got to look how the build-ups come. And how it's developed, because what I'm saying is how it's developed, and then what happens, because we get pulled over. There's not been one. It's not been down to where you could point the finger and saying, you know what, in that situation, player A should not have done that, and it's kind of his fault. It's nobody. It's just been an accumulation of decision making wrongly rather than speaking. So nobody's to blame. It's a learning curve. It's a learning curve in terms of when you're in them situations again, they've got to talk and be more. Because, listen, if I'm stood with a player, let's talk about the player who's actually physically put the ball in the net. If you get that clip and go to and make it bigger so that you can see where the player is in terms of where Brad is initially. If you could get that, and you'll see it, because we've done it, I've done it, Nigel's done it, we've looked at it, you can see where Brad is. Now, at that point, Brad's in a good position to defend him. He's in a good position, not a problem, good position, right? Now, when he sees danger in front of him, developing...
He moves towards it.
He goes towards it. Now, automatically in his head, thinking, I can go and win this. Now, if he wins it, and we start to move on, nobody mentions about what happens next, because what happens next is going up the pitch. Yeah. But in this, because what's happened is we've conceded, and the player who's actually passed the ball into the net is the player who seconds before Brad is near. Brad is the nearest man. Now, what our discussion is, myself and Nigel, is there's 2 things that should have happened here when that eventually unfolded. in my opinion, and Nigel's of the same agreement, Brad can't leave that post, because if he leaves that post, what happens is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So he can't leave that post. But what he can do, he could shout to a player in front of him, whoever it is,
yeah,
adjust your body, drop in. There's a man there, 10 yards, pick him up, right? But what's happened is, rather than do that, he's made a decision to go in himself. And obviously, before Brad's even got there, he's played the ball back to that 11. And if you look at the clip, as the ball goes in the net, Brad turns round as though to say, freaking hell, who's picking him up?
Yeah.
But in theory, there were nobody to pick him up unless Carl comes in. But before he leaves, he should scream at Carl to drop in sooner. But I'm not so sure, because Carl had his man, whether Carl had got in, it had happened too quick. But this isn't, listen.
It was too quick, because Carl was quite far. I think it was like halfway up the
he wouldn't have got back.
Side of the pitch.
He wouldn't have got back in. But the problem is, listen. This is not it. It's communication. That's all it is. And we've got, what they've done is picked us off, because everybody's dived in. And then what's happened is, everybody's dived in. 2 players went to ground. I think Ben Langley initially went to ground, right? He went to ground. If you play further, he went to ground, and then he's recovered, right? And then what's happened is, Malachi's gone to ground. He's kind of gone to ground, right? And then from that situation, they played the ball, found that spare man who's at the far post. When you spoke to me on Wednesday, I think it were, and you said, who's the bleaking heck? We're picking him up at the far post. He's got an easy tap in. Yeah. Well, your answer is in that video clip.
That was Brad, but Brad was left in a dilemma where
he's not
to stick or twist.
Exactly. He was left. Listen. Probably another game, Brad goes, does what he does and wins that ball. Yeah. But he didn't get there. Before he got there,
it was a split decision to make.
Split decision. And this is what I'm saying. You know, we've got to learn. You know, that's the idea of that. This isn't being critical to any of them. It's just a multiple of situations that did happen where in due respect, what could have happened or should have happened is communicate. You know, because as the game's going on, the last man in this instance, which is obviously the left back, right, can see all the way in front of him. He can see everything.
Yeah.
So he sees everything. So he can scream at somebody. He can't leave what he's got there, because if he leaves him, what happens is exactly what happens.
Wide open.
What happened? Wide open. And they put the ball in the net. So listen, I'll repeat again. This isn't having a go at any individual. It's just it had a domino effect from a situation, right, where they've had the ball. They've utilised the kind of spare men all the way along. I think the big issue which created a problem was when players are going to ground, because once you go to ground, you're out of it.
Well, yeah.
And really, that's kind of what I touched on at full time. I said, you know, it was disappointing to lose that. And I always look at it in any game we play, even though that's ended up 2-1. I always look at it that in a tight game, like the Darwen game were, in a tight game, the first goal is always massively important. And that's why you'd overemphasize and look at the first goal more than anything. Because to me, if we keep it tight and, you know, that situation doesn't arise, I come back to again, you know, I couldn't see either side
No, you're probably looking at a very good 0-0, aren't you?
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's how I would have seen it.
But listen, they managed to get the goal. They got the tails up. I'll show it because I made them. The second goal came about from yet again them finding the space, utilising the space, and he got a good shot off in the end.
Well, it's a difficult one for me to comment, and I haven't even watched the video on the second goal, because at this point, after the first goal's gone in, And as it were going on, look, you know, we'd spoken. I pulled Connor. I was trying to get Connor on, but Connor were getting instructions of because we needed to get back into the game. So, you know, it were no good. Listen, when you're making substitutions in it, and I don't want to just keep showing my hand here, but when you're making a substitution, you know, when they've gone in the shape that they've gone, all what were happening at that point, they've just gone the same shape as we were playing. So everybody counteracts each other out. The clock's going down. We're losing the game 1-0. So for me, we needed to do something and change something. So it was we were going to take a midfield player off. We couldn't go 3 at the back and throw an extra striker on up front because they were playing 3 up top. So it would have been 3-on-3, and it was kind of too early. You know, if we'd have been last 5 minutes, you might have gone that way. But you're not going to go with another 20 minutes or so on the clock, 25 minutes. You're not going to go 3-on-3 at the back. So it was a case of taking a midfield player off, even though Connor can play the number 10 role. So what we were giving him, I were giving him instructions to basically say, listen, I want you to play a bit higher, get with Lewis, give him something to think about, you know, but you have to be disciplined out of possession to pick the deepest midfield player up out of possession. Something he's done before, something he can do. And I'm no sooner telling him, and what we were going to do is we were taking Michael Gervin off, and what we were going to do is obviously move Ben for a deeper. So this instruction we're being given him, and as we're giving him this instruction, all the shit, freaking, they've got 2. Yeah. So really, so at that point you're like,
that's a real body blow, isn't it?
It was like a bit of a body blow because the kids were ready to come on, really, but we still put him on, and obviously when we put him on, he's delivered, and what a good goal it were, you know. Yeah. So you know, the situation is now, it's a simple fact, you know, we've lost our last 2 games, and I've always turned around and said, when we get defeated, I won't do it on losing 1, but we've lost the last 2. So, you know, and I'm a bit concerned in a way as well, because before the game, my coach and Miguel, the physio, called me over. I was stood in the corner flag, and before the game, they called me over when they were doing the warm-up, and they were showing a bit of concern about Michael Gervin, because they were saying that Michael Gervin were complaining about his ankle. Now, listen, you can't play on a blinking 3. If you've got bad joints and you're struggling, you cannot play on a 3G surface with bad joints. I'm sorry, you can't. You know, you can't. So they were concerned because they brought me over to talk to me about it. And so we were aware that he'd obviously flagged this issue up to the physio, and the physio, rightly so, had brought it to the attention of the coach, and the coach had brought it to the attention of me. And I just said we have to keep an eye on him and just see how it goes. But as a captain, he's got to be honest and you know, and tell us. But he got to a situation where, you know, I'd made the decision. He done his bit for the team, in my opinion, but he was struggling in the period roundabout when we conceded, because he was struggling to keep with his. He was against the 10, and it was the 10 that scored the second goal. So, you know, but it's now come to a situation where Connor, we've lost 2, and Connor's come on and influenced the game. So it comes to a situation that he's going to come into the reckoning, and he will come into the reckoning. So, you know, that's just the way it is, and there's competition for places, and you know, these situations. But it's not a case of somebody's let the team down or not done well. It's not a case of that. You know, when you're on a situation where you've lost a couple of back-to-back games, and in a situation where you know that some players are carrying a little bit, then there comes a time when you've got to freshen it up.
Yeah, and the fact that you say, you know, Connor's been effective. He's come on as a sub, and you know, got to give the lads opportunity who are on the bench and ready to go.
Well, you have. It's a difficult job for me. I mean, you know, we need the players.
It's not easy.
we've got the players. We need the players, and it doesn't matter to me. Look. The simple fact is, no matter what anybody says, they've all had the similar treatment. You know, Callum. Different circumstances. Kyle, Lewis. They've all been in the same. They've all had. The only player that hasn't is Alex, and we discussed this last week. But everybody in the main have been in the same situation. Connor Morris is, after he got left out. If we go back, like you touched on it last week about in the New Mills game, you said, we couldn't lay a glove on a certain player, which were obviously Connor's responsibility. But in that game, I'm 120, 50%. He was playing with an injury and didn't open up about it. And in our next game at Shelley, he had to pay the price because he wasn't in. He actually came on at half time and really turned that game around.
Yeah.
But we lost it at the end off another screamer. But you can't take that away from. Connor's not in at the minute because he's hit the dreaded five yellow cards syndrome. So when he's come back from his suspension, he hasn't been able to get in because up to the SC St. Helens game, he's the team's been playing well and done well. So there was no room to make any to bring him straight back in. Listen to what I'm saying. But when what's happened in the last two games, the St. Helens and the Darwen game, and given that some lads are carrying a little bit. It becomes a situation where it gives an opportunity to freshen things up a little bit, which also gives, the lads like we just said, if Michael's got an issue with his ankle, it gives Michael a chance to get his ankle right 100%. I'm not just saying that it's Michael, but I'm just saying in a scenario, Connor's come on, he's influenced the game when he's come on, he scored a good goal. We had him on the rack. 100% we could have. They were just happy. They wanted that final whistle. They absolutely, were dreading it when the referee said 8 minutes. And one thing I've got to say on this situation as well, the week before I were kind of questioning the officials, but I've got to say this: I thought the referee game, given the magnitude of the game. Local derby, the physicality, whatever. I thought the referee were tremendous. I thought he refereed the game really, really well. 100%. I thought he was excellent.
I agree.
And I kind of, everybody will have opinions. Everybody might have different opinions, but when you look at it, I just think overall that referee had a really good game, and he deserves credit. Week before. Apparently, somebody's, which everybody again is entitled to their opinion. We were going on about FC St. Helens' second goal, where we were saying he was offside, and they've sent a clip. I don't know I'm sure it wouldn't have been one of the coaches, because if there are coaches, I'd be shocked. Because if you look at the clip again, and I've seen it. I don't do Facebook, but somebody's passed it to me who does do Facebook. I've looked at it, and it shows quite clearly he's offside, because you've got to take it off Mason's position. Mason was in front.
Yeah.
So that left.
Unfortunately, that's down to the linesman and the referee taking information off his linesman.
Yeah, exactly. So he's trying to say, I don't know why you're complaining, because he weren't offside, but I've looked at that clip again and he definitely were offside. But listen, let's get one thing straight before FC St. Helens come back on giving us pelters again, right? He can't even get it right on blinking national TV with VAR. There's a debate whether it were or whether it weren't. So what chance have we discussing what we're discussing now? As far as I'm concerned, and looking at that clip even confirms it even more. He was offside. Simple as. And if you know the rule, you will admit and hold your hands up, yeah, we're offside. But going back to Boxing Day game, the referee in question, I thought, had a good game.
I agree. Moving on to tomorrow. Well, it says, touching wood, fingers crossed and all that lot. Nelson away, Little Wembley. Always good games against Nelson. And you were telling me last season, if you were reminding me, they gave us a little bit of a lesson, didn't they?
I thought Nelson were very, very good. I mean, don't forget, Nelson had their issues last year and was struggling a little bit. But I thought when we played them, and don't forget, we were in a. I would think we're in a better position this year, but we're in a similar position last year where we were looking and chasing for the playoffs. But I thought for long periods last year it were a night match, and from what I remember, I thought for long periods I thought they were the better team.
They were.
Last year. I thought Bobby Carter were playing up front with another lad. I can't remember who that were, but I thought both of them. Not many teams have give our Joy Fallon a bit of an hard time, but I thought in that game, both the two strikers really did really well. I thought they were excellent on the night. They were sharp. They were busy.
But usually Little Wembley's a pretty decent surface, but with the amount of rain we've had over the last couple of days, Brent, it's going to be touch and going, isn't it?
I've stopped. The rules of the league are supposed to be, clubs are supposed to inform you if they're having a pitch inspection. And I've had nothing from Nelson. But again, I'm not knocking Nelson. I just know what you know your clubs. You know your clubs that will be giving you information. They've given us no information. They're not. We
get prepared as if we're playing, and simple as that.
Yeah, we'll just prepare as though we're playing. But do I honestly think that the game's going to go ahead with the amount of rain and what's going to come down tomorrow? Apparently, it's not going to be good tomorrow either. I'm not holding my breath.
No, but like you say, there will be some. Well, you've kind of already told us that there will be some changes for tomorrow's game. Well,
yeah, I mean, there'll not be many changes. All I'm saying is that Conor Morris, we said it all along. We're on the back of 2 defeats, so that's got to be looked at. And Conor Morris has come on and done his job when he's come on and kind of influenced the last game. So I think it's only right that he comes into contention. So that's basically what I'm saying. But these players have got to understand, there's players to come back into this squad. It'll not be long before Toby Wright. That'll be like signing a new player. But the bottom line is what these players have got to understand that's already got the shirt. They've got to deliver, because I'm not going to be bringing Toby Wright back in. If we're delivering and doing what we want them to do, and they're winning games of football.
Well, it's impossible for you to bring him back in. Yeah, it's impossible to bring him back in.
Toby Wright, let's. I know we've had the discussions, and I don't want to go into it, but there's an excellent player out there if he's recovering, like we hope he's recovered from his broken leg. But there's a good player out there in Ryan Siddall. But I've made it a point that he won't come back to go on the bench because he's a blinking absolute nightmare.
And of course we got Mason. We've also got Mason.
And then obviously Mason hopefully won't be that long before he's got to. So there's competition and there's challenging, and these have already got the shirt, so they've got to be. They've got. Listen, it's happened. We've got beat. It's not the end of the world. It's happening. Look, somebody told me the other day with BBC. Let me tell you something, and nobody looked at it. The guy on the BBC on the day after Boxing Day, when he was presenting BBC Sport. He turned round and he was talking about Manchester United turning the game round against Aston Villa. Now, this is how fickle fans are. I know there've been issues at Man United. I get that, 100%. But it winds me up with supporters all the time. At 2-0, all you saw on Twitter, sacked in the mornings, he's clueless. Joey Barton, he should know better. He said the Dutchman's clueless. I'm sure Joey Barton's lost the plot. I'm sure he's high on cocaine.
We know he's lost the plot.
Well, he must be. He's coming out with, the Dutchman, he ain't got a clue, he's useless and all this carry on, right? This is at half time. I nearly put a tweet on saying it's not over until the fat lady sings. And lo and behold, United's turned that round and won the game, right? So everybody forgets all what they said in the first half. This is supporters for you, the blinking empty heads. And straight away, you know, they turned the game around. Oh, blinking brilliant, absolutely fantastic. Now, the guy on BBC, the morning after, he turned round and said, for all Manchester United's troubles, this would be obviously before they played Everton, but for all Manchester United's troubles, they're literally only 3 points off Manchester City. There you go. There you go.
So
right?
all the drama and tribulation that's going on at Old Trafford, they're only 3 points, one win away from where
We're only 3 points, and he said it on the BBC. Oh, obviously, City had 2 games in hand, but forget the 2 games.
You've got to win them games in hand first.
Correct. So, and that's what he said. He said only 3 points off Man City. That's how crazy it is. And this is what I'm saying about football. I mean, listen, a few weeks ago, months ago, Kieran Trippier, if you were talking about Kieran Trippier at Newcastle, you'd say, what a fantastic right fullback he is.
Yeah, flying high.
Flying high, doing the business, right? All of a sudden, for one reason or another, his form has gone. He's dipped. Whether he's got personal issues, whether he's had injuries and he's recovering. Yeah. But it happens. These things happen. And it's affected his form to the point that he's come off the bench a couple of weeks back and he's been brought on as a sub, and he was at fault for one of the goals that Newcastle conceded. Yeah. Right? So this is a top player.
Yeah.
Again, decision making. But in this moment, he was at fault. He then goes to penalties, because I think it was that Carabao Cup. It goes to penalties. Terrible. He steps out and he misses the penalty. So if you ever want a ground to swallow you up, that you know, he wants a blinking ground to swallow him up. But what I'm trying to get at here, it happens to the best. So it can happen to even to us, to our lads. Yeah. So what we're saying is, you can only, let's go back to the Darwen game. I thought the lads played well, worked hard, give a good, honest performance. Have they played better in some games? Yes, they have.
Yeah.
Have they played worse in some games? Yes, they have. Did they? Were it worthy of freaking going in the changing room and doing a Neil Warnock or a Fergie blinking air dryer treatment? No, it wasn't.
No.
It didn't need that. You know, but we've got to learn and pick up from scenarios in the game where we can improve on. But the point I'm trying to make is, no team is going to win every football match they go in and play, right? We haven't become a bad team overnight. We're a good team. The fixtures have fallen for us like they've fallen for us. You know, we've had a good competitive game in Boxing Day against Darwen. Darwen got the breaks and fully, obviously, that strike for the second goal was an excellent strike. They've picked us off and done well at picking us off for the first goal. We've got back in it. We could have, if a decision's made near the end, a right decision, we would have, I'm sure we would have scored, and it would have been 2-2. And would we have been happy with a draw away at Darwen, playing on that crap surface? I'd say 100%.
100%. Last show of 2023. What a year it's been for Bakerborough Football Club, Brent. You know, scenes like this, you know, we'll never forget these scenes for 2023 down at Congleton. You know, trophy winning, lads celebrating with the fans. You know, some great days with the supporters, which is what it's all about for us.
Listen, people have short memories with it. We got to 2 cup finals and we were chasing the playoffs. You know, people could turn around and say, not only did we get to 2 cup finals and chasing the playoffs, but we had an excellent run. When I say an excellent run, we kind of won 4 games in the FA Vars. You know, so 4 games, winning 4 games in the FA Vans is no mean feat. You know, so all in all, you know, it was an excellent. It's been an excellent year. And if you think about it, you know, where a new season started, you know, I don't study a league table. This will be next week when I study it. But speaking to my trusted right-hand man, my coach, Nigel, yesterday when we were discussing, you know, what's going to happen, our plan of action over the next couple of weeks, you know, when he summed it up nicely when he said, listen, when you look at it, you know, would we have taken this at the start of the season where you're kind of 3 points off second place? You know, they might have played more games. Let's not worry about that at this stage. But that's what he's saying to me. You take it because that's just the way it is. And as much as you're disappointed that we got beat with Darwen, right? As the fact that the other games all went for us, the results in a way, they all went for us. And I mean, Nelson going up to Ilkley on the other night and getting a 2-2 draw, just put the cherry on top.
Yeah.
So Nigel summing up about that to me again was like quite clearly, you know, in retrospect, that game losing to Darwen has cost us 1 point.
Yeah. I think sometimes we mentioned it before about supporters and, you know, it's kind of having a reality check, isn't it? On how far we've come as a football club.
Yeah, but you know, to be honest, Steve, and I'm not, you know, listen, don't take this. To be honest, I don't speak to. I only speak to when I see them in passing. I don't really speak to our supporters, so I don't think our supporters are actually saying that. But I do speak to you, and I think sometimes I've just got to bring you down to earth because straight away you're off on one because you're a winner. I get it. I'm not knocking you. You're a winner. You want to win, but sometimes I want to win. But sometimes we may experience, and I think I'm right in saying I kind of just try and get you grounded again and put things to you and say, Steve, it don't work like that.
And it works because we have these conversations where we chat sometimes for 45 minutes to an hour about football matters and what's gone, but you're breaking it down. And like you have on the show, this is why we do the rewind. You break it down and you're looking at the bigger picture. There's more elements than just 5 minutes to a game of football.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you know, it's easy to say immediately after a game without getting your thought process. It's easy to come out and start firing from the hip, and you haven't kind of just weighed it all up. But then when the cold light of day, when you take a reality check and you look at it, it's not always that bad.
No,
you know, everybody wants to go and win every game, but how many teams in the top flight? I mean, listen. I see that they've parted company with another manager again, Salford City. How many managers are they going to go through to buy success?
Well, we've been chatting about this ever since we couldn't believe Graham Alexander left the building, because ever since that moment of them releasing Graham when they were in 5th position, the wheels have come off.
I know. This is what I'm saying. You know, listen. They've appointed the guy they appointed. He came from Manchester United. They've appointed him, right? So they weren't saying anything a few weeks ago when they were doing all right. You know, when they were doing all right, but they have had a bleak run, but a bleak run can come for many reasons. Like we're just saying that Newcastle are having a bleak run, but Newcastle comes down to injuries and maybe suspensions. It has. If you're not carrying the blinking squads, it can have an adverse effect on you, right? And what I'm trying to say is about Salford, it's embarrassing when you think about it. From the days of John Owen Bernard at that club, and think how many managers they've gone through in that time, it's just embarrassing. I don't get it, you know. And it's no wonder why is Paul Scholes not take it? Why is Ryan Giggs not take it? Because
good question.
Because at the end of the day, they'd end up having to sack them.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, while we're on the subject, I know we don't talk about them much, You mentioned Jono and Bernard. What a cracking job they're doing down at Ratcliffe.
Yeah, they're doing a good job. You know, and again, people will turn around and say, I've seen that Jono's had a few side swipes at people because people jump on bandwagon and say it's because they've got money.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm not privy. They probably have got money, but at the end of the day, teams need organising and teams need managing. And the one thing that's quite evident, with most of the team at Radcliffe, is that he's got players around him. Both of them have got players around them that were probably with him at Salford, and some of them, the ones that weren't with him at Salford, were probably with him at even at Ramsbottom. You know, like Jordan Humes. You know, he'll score goals. He's proved it. You know, so you know that goes a long way because you've got a situation where it's kind of they've grown together. You know, certain players with the managers. They've grown together, and they've done a wonderful job. And I'm not going to sit on here and say, well, it's because they've got money, because I don't know whether they've got money or they haven't got money. All I know is,
but you've still got to work with that money if you have got it.
Yeah, all I'm saying is they're riding high. There were 6 points clear. I think the deficit's been closed a bit, but that'll happen. But they're doing well, and it's good to see.
Yeah. Just down the road, we talk about them quite a lot on this show. Bury FC. New manager came in. I wouldn't have wished the job on anyone because it's a difficult one, isn't it, Brent? With what's going on off the pitch, I mean.
The supporters need a reality check because every time they drop points or they get beat, they're on social media throwing pelters at them and having a go at the manager. And he's, 2 weeks ago I saw somebody saying he's clueless, he doesn't know what he's doing and all that. I'm thinking, where's all this lot come from? Yeah. It's ridiculous. Listen, the Bury supporters have got to understand that the Bury FC of old, that was a Division 2 football club, is no longer a Division 2 football club, and it's a long way off being. It was a football club that was a Division 2 football club, but almost folded. Well, did fold in reality.
It's step 5, simple as that.
It's simple. So what it is now, it's a rebuild in the Northwest Counties. But what these Bury fans have got to understand, apart from the name Bury, and apart from the stadium that's Football League standard, nothing else is at that club. Because all the team and the squad are basically probably the best players you can get from the Northwest Counties League.
And a couple
so they're only competing against their own kind of team. If they wanted to think that they're still a Football League club and want to drive through the leagues, what should have happened is they should have brought in a former Football League manager, and there's plenty out there not working at the minute, that has contacts in the game, and because they've got money, because of the gates that they get, then attract former Football League players to play at the club, at Gig Lane, competing in the Northwest Counties League. Then they might be talking with a bit of sense when they're saying, we need to go through, we need to do this. But at the minute, because the managers that they've had in, and this isn't knocking the manager, he's only signing players from
his network,
the league, the standard that they're playing in.
Yeah.
So what you're having is just a nicely balanced competition, and there's nothing guaranteed that they'll go up. But I think if they brought in quite a few ex-Football League players, with probably it doesn't even need to be an ex-Football League manager. I'm sure the manager who's in there now, if he brought in ex-Football League players and moulded a team, right, then that team would be more powerful for the likes of the Northwest Counties League and would progress.
Yeah.
Whereas at the minute, everything's much of a muchness. They're competing with teams that, it's no guarantee that they're going to go up.
Yeah. Well, you've always been a big supporter of, directors of football, clubs having a direction of where they're going. Now, they've just recruited a new head of recruitment, Jimmy Holmes. Had spells with Man City, Morecambe, Macclesfield, as we know. But that's the kind of ilk, innit? That's the kind of person they need in the club in order to push on through the leagues.
Yeah, it is, because obviously he'll have contacts and he'll know players, so that's a good start. I'm not privy to what's gone on at Macclesfield because obviously he's been there a few seasons, so I don't know. But it's all right, when you go back to your sporting directors or your directors of football. I think what's happening in too many clubs is that these directors of football and sporting directors become up above the station. And what I mean by above the station, the prime examples, obviously, at Man United. They're signing players who they think and who would suit them, but doesn't necessarily suit the manager. Because if you listen to people close to Manchester United, even previous managers, there's players there that they didn't want. I mean, I'm hearing rumours that Moyes didn't want Fellaini, but they went and got him. And he ended up with Fellaini. So what I'm saying is, it's all right appointing a sporting director or a director of football, but he's got to be here. So if I appointed you now as my sporting director here, you've got to work closely with me. And I tell you the kind of player that I would want, and you go out and get him. You go out and find him, come back to me and liaise with me and say, right, I found so-and-so, I found so-and-so. These are, watch the video clips, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Bring him in.
Yeah, it's automatic that I should be working off your blueprint, not you working off mine.
Correct, but what I'm saying is, at a lot of clubs, it's the other way around. The sporting directors bringing in who they see fit, and the manager's getting lumbered with him and say, right, I've brought you in. Yeah. I mean, I could tell a tale, but I'm not going to tell it on here because it's private and confidential, which I got told. I've actually got told it in private and confidential through Nigel. And as you know, Nigel's dad were at Manchester United.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not going to repeat it on here. There's no chance. But about the goalkeeper that's there now already, and a previous manager, and what a previous manager said. So it just tells you that
these things happen in a big way.
Yeah, it's rotten to the core because they're actually bringing in the players. And the manager doesn't want them. Whereas that had never happened with Fergie. I mean, and remember who were close to Fergie? David Gill. We've mentioned him on the show. David Gill doesn't get a mention. So Fergie be going out knowing full well, and the people who'd be close to Fergie would be like the likes of Nigel's dad. Because Nigel's dad worked, left Blackburn Rovers and went to worked.
But knowing exactly what characteristics Fergie were looking for in a player.
Yeah. And obviously go and get him, and obviously it's Fergie who wants him.
And nobody's coming into the club. Nobody's coming in through the training ground gates without Fergie's say so.
Exactly. So this is where there's a lot of things that's not right in the game, and I can sit here and tell you about clubs as well. Managers get the pelters, but there's clubs like, because you've got chief executives and it's all about a balance sheet. And we can't afford this, and we can. And then he's telling the manager, we've got the best of the best academy players playing out there. They're good enough. They're doing a job. We don't need to spend any money. Let them develop then. So they're telling the manager and the coaching staff to develop these players because they don't want to spend money. But these players are getting proved that they're not up to it yet, and obviously they're inconsistent and they're making stupid errors, and as you do when you're kind of in development, and it's costing with results. And when it costs us with results, the fans don't understand that this is going on, and then they start turn the frustration on the bleeding manager.
Yeah, well, you see it a lot. You see clubs will go out and sign a player, but really sometimes it's just to pacify and keep the fans quiet. Yeah, he might not have even been a manager's choice.
I know.
It's just to fill a gap.
There's not a lot of things that's not right in the game at clubs and in the game, and it's not.
But you spoke about directors football directors do work if used correctly.
Correct. I agree.
Now, you spoke to me before about what, your position at Aki Stanley back in the day. That's what you wanted to do, or that's what you were working towards, doing that.
Well, I'll give you a prime example. Paul Molden had a good pedigree. I mean, it's Paul Molden's lad now. It's Rochdale's goalkeeper.
Yeah.
But Paul Molden had a top pedigree, and already Paul had played. Had played for me previously, and he's got a good. He's had a football league pedigree. I mean, he might still be showing in the Guinness Book of Records that scoring the most goals in so many games. I'm not sure, but straight away I've kind of got him in. It was me that brokered everything at Accrington. Now the manager who were the manager welcomed him and wanted him in with open arms. But then what happened after not long into the season? Eric sacked the manager, but the next manager coming in kind of didn't fancy him. Yeah. So, that's where your frustrations come in, because one manager fancied him, one manager wanted him, one manager, we're happy to have him in, but the new manager coming in didn't want him, didn't fancy him. He didn't suit his style or what he wanted to, how he wanted to play. So that meant the parting of the ways with Paul Molden. That don't make him a bad player or anything else, but it was circumstance. And this is what I mean about even clubs. I mean, even picking the right manager, that when you're going to change your manager, it's important. If you've got a philosophy of how you play, and the recruitment process has brought these players in the way you play, then you wouldn't go and get a manager in like a Sam Allardyce, or I think if you want to get the ball down and play, would you? Because he plays a different way, and it's kind of a ripping. There'll be a lot of rebuild with that. So you need to invest in a manager that is on the same page. I don't believe this for 1 minute, but Graham Potter, his name is being linked with Man United. I don't think it's no coincidence that obviously he's linked, because there's a Chelsea connection with Jim Ratcliffe. Yeah. But anybody doesn't know though about Graham Potter, he's highly thought of in the game, because he went over, I don't know if it were Scandinavia, but he went somewhere really, really studying the game and learning a lot on the game, and he's highly, highly thought of. Now, I'm not saying for 1 minute he will get the Manchester United job, but let me tell you, he will get a very, very good job with Graham Potter at the right club, because his philosophy, is. But you wouldn't. What I'm saying is, as it stands at the minute, you wouldn't put a Graham Potter in at Sheffield United.
No, it wouldn't be a good fit, would it?
No, and that's not being disrespectful to Sheffield United. If you think about Higginbottom that they sacked, right, which I think was a bad look. Higginbottom, that is a very, very good coach, right? And he did all right at Sheffield, and he's got to play. But Chris Wilder is totally different. Chris Wilder is a bit like, he's like up and at him.
He's got good man management skills as Wilder.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is But what I'm saying is, if he's recruiting players to fit his kind of where he wants to play, you wouldn't have basically a club full of technical footballers, because they don't really play with technical footballers, do they?
No.
There'll be some technical footballers there, but the others will be like,
a lot of it's about physicality.
Yeah.
Any last messages? Last show of the year? What you'd like to say to our viewers? They have joined us in there. I'd just
like to say that the fans have been absolutely fantastic. The support. I'd just like to say the business fraternity have been great in backing us. I'd like to thank the players. The players have been, they're taking everything on board, and they've, these players will go from strength to strength together as a team. I'm not sure if they break up, they'll be the same players. But if they can stay together as a team, they will only grow and grow together, because I'm a firm believer of that. Continuity is massive. So I'd like to thank the players, because the players have been, they have been in the main. I know there's been frustrating times. There's been lads that's been frustrated, out of character. Aidan Housey, out of character, fantastic lad. Jack has had his issues in his personal life, and he's got a bit frustrated from time to time. These things happen, but it's how we deal with it as a club and how they deal with it as a player. We hope that, like Ryan Siddall, will learn from his frustrations, because that's all it comes down to, his frustrations. But he's not been dismissed, and we know he's there. So the players have been fantastic, and I'd just like to thank my staff. My staff have been great, and I just hope that when we get to the other side, that we can all kick on and achieve what we want to achieve.
Brilliant, Brent. Hopefully, I'll see you tomorrow, mate.
Top man.
Hello, welcome to Make Up Borough Football Club. I'm Andrew Knight, Head of Business Development. Over the last 18 months, both myself and our fantastic media team have been working hand in glove, building up crucial relationships between the business sector in Bacup, Rosendale and beyond, to link them with the club and get some much needed investment into Bacup Borough Football Club. With over 50 businesses now involved in Bacup Borough Football Club, that's fantastic, but we would like you and your business to come and join us on our journey. We have lots of exciting packages available to suit both your company's budget and your needs. So what platforms do we have here at Bacup Borough Football Club for your business? We have the live rewind show every Friday with Steve Brown, our head of media, and our manager for over 25 years, Brent Peters. We also have every game, home and away, live through our Facebook platform, brought to you again by Bacup Borough Media team. We have banners, pitch side boards, website hyperlinks and programme adverts. These are all things that will promote your business through the football club. We also, for this season, have a very exciting new edition. We're offering match day hospitality. Packages are available, please get in touch. So if you like the sound of us from what you've seen today in this short video, then please get in touch. You can come and meet us, you can come have a look around our facilities and meet the staff, or likewise we can always organise a meeting to come and visit you. On behalf of myself, Andrew Knight, and everyone connected with Bacup Borough Football Club, thank you for listening to this short video, and fingers crossed, we'll see you all soon.